What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Operation Burnt Horizon Reveal Panel. My name is Justin Kruger, community developer on Rainbow Six Siege. And we have a lot in store for you guys in this panel. We have two new operators, Mozzie and Gridlock, and a new map, Outback. And we are about to showcase all the details that you need to know for the first season of Year 4. And without further ado, let's get right into the details with this short video from our amazing Chris Waters.
Operation Burnt Horizon is taking Rainbow Six Siege to Australia, bringing 2 new operators, 1 new map, and just really a lot of nasty-looking spikes. Now, these may look like something a defender would throw down, but they're actually deployed by an attacker. And this standard-issue drone being used to scout enemy positions, it's being controlled by a defender. Seems like there's no better place to mix things up than down under. An attacker named Gridlock is who you have to thank for all those pointy new obstacles in your way. She calls these mechanical marvels Trax Stingers. Throw one on the ground and it immediately starts deploying clusters of defender-damaging spikes. It throws out a lot of them, allowing you to really jam up a staircase or a hallway, or cover a large area of a room. Toss a Trax Stinger through a hatch or between floorboards to exert some pressure from above, or lob one into an area where you know a defender is hiding to put them in a prickly position. And don't worry about Jaeger's ADS, it can't affect Gridlock's gadget at all. Attackers can traverse the spikes no problem, but defenders who dare to tread on them will have 3 things happen that you really don't want to happen to you in Siege. They will take damage, they will be slowed down, and they will make noise. It's enough to make you think twice about that flanking route. And can you imagine trying to retake a planted diffuser surrounded by these things? That's a no from me. But hey, defenders, you don't have to let scary pieces of metal tell you how to run your life. Destroy them with bullets, explosives, or melee attacks. Even better, destroy the Trax Stinger device during the deployment process in order to stop some or all of the clusters from spawning. Keep in mind, though, that all of these actions are noisy, and you risk alerting the attacking team to your whereabouts. And since the attacking team now includes Gridlock with her F90 assault rifle, or her M249 LMG, you might want to think twice about attracting attention. On the other side of the siege is Mozzie, a defender who figures, why bring his own drones to the fight when he can just steal yours?
Shot a drone head on, it's out.
Armed with his trusty pest launcher, Mozzie can hack the attacking team's drones and make them his own. Yup, even Twitch drones. He can capture them in 2 ways. Number 1, shooting a pest directly onto a drone. This is kinda tricky, unless you catch an idle drone out in the open, or have a little help from Mute. But if you miss your shot, you can always pick up your pest and try again.
Shoots, he scores, that's a drone for us.
Number 2, shooting a pest onto a surface and creating an ambush. The pest will pounce on any drone that cruises into its sights and hack it. Each pest can hack 1 drone and add it to Mozzie's fleet. Once a drone is hacked, Mozzie gains control of it, driving, jumping, shocking, tagging, parking it in sneaky spots, just living the drone life. He can't pick them up, and if he drives a drone outside for more than a few seconds, he'll lose the hack and the drone will be lost, even to its original owner. But each drone Mozzie keeps in play is a valuable new intel source that joins the Defender camera feed for all to see. Now, defenders will see a special outline that shows them which drone not to shoot, but attackers will have to look for the telltale blue light to recognize turncoat drones, or bring IQ along to sniff out any traitors. Attackers can regain access to the camera feed of a hacked drone with a Dokebi hack, but the drone will still remain under defender control. From droning more carefully to spot the flashing warning sign of a nearby pest ambush, to looking twice at every drone they see, the attackers will have to burn more time and attention on drones when Mozzie is in the match. And while their attentions are elsewhere, Mozzie is more than happy to take advantage with his P10 Roni automatic pistol or his Command 9 assault rifle with that reload animation Aussies would describe as Ripper. The new map in play is Outback, a roadhouse in the middle of the sunburnt country where travelers rest and refuel before venturing out into the bush. It's comprised of 3 main buildings joined together in an L shape. Each one has color-coded accents to help you get oriented as you navigate from the garage, blue, through the restaurant, green, and into the motel, yellow. There's a stuffed shark, a rodeo bull, and a host of other landmarks to help with callouts, as well as plenty of breakable walls and floors for our 2 new operators to destroy, using their super shorty shotgun sidearms.
I'm reloading!
Gridlock, the Queen of Spikes, and Mozzie, Mr. Steelio Drone, are hitting the road with Team Rainbow in Operation Burnt Horizon, though they still call Australia home. To stay up on the latest from Year 4 of Rainbow Six Siege, subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit us at news.ubisoft.com.
Changing mags!
That is your first look at Operation Burnt Horizon. 2 new operators, Mozzie, Gridlock, are hitting it in Outback. And keep that applause going for our panelists here. We have game designer Emilien Lomé and level designer Nicholas Scholike. Now, Emilien, you're no stranger to this stage. You were here last year. How does it feel how does it feel to be back at the 6th Invitational stage?
I am so happy. 6th Invitational is the best reminder we have that our passion is not just ours now. It belongs to millions around the planet, and it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal, and thank you all for being here once again to witness the Operation Burnt Horizon reveal. And Nicholas, this is your baby. This is your map that you've been working on for a long time, Outback. How does it feel to showcase it for the first time?
Well, already being the first time on a panel is incredible. I mean, I'm seeing the crowd right now, and it's just awesome. And yeah, you guys are awesome. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about the map we've been working on for about 10 months now, and maybe drop a little knowledge on how we did it.
A little bit of knowledge. Let's get right into that map, Outback. Let's set the setting here. Where are we going in Year 4, Season 1?
All right, well, obviously it's in Australia, AKA the land where everything is trying to kill you. And so we got a roadhouse, which is basically on the side of a lonely highway. And it's basically somewhere where you're going to go fuel up, maybe have a bite, sleep a few hours before going back on the road. But now what's happening here is that what we see, there's a convoy that actually crashed into the building. And why is that there is because there's a bunch of bad guys that said, hey, that truck has some nuclear waste in it. We should try to grab it, because why not? But what they didn't know is that there's Gridlock and Mozzie that were on duty to keep it safe. So, long story short, bad guys try to hijack, Mozzie and Gridlock comes in, stops them, bad guys go and siege themselves up into the hotel, Rainbow Six comes in and saves the day.
Saves the day as always. And now let's take a look at the overview of this map. Obviously we've got a nice little breakdown of the structural elements of it, but tell us a little bit about where the design elements that you put in are.
Right, well, the building is made out of 3 buildings, basically. So you've got, and they're color-coded, which really helps people to move around. So you've got the hotel that is yellow, you've got the garage that is blue, and you've got the restaurant who is green. Sorry.
So a lot of visual elements to navigate and guide the player through this map.
Yes, absolutely, and we have some awesome landmarks also that are inside. So you've got the huge shark that is in the restaurant, which, by the way, you can throw stuff in it, which is pretty cool. You've got the bull in the bullpen, and all sorts of other landmarks that helps you move around really quickly. Why
is it important to you and your level design team that navigation and those landmarks are in place?
Well, mostly for callouts. So, you know, half of the game is about knowing your map. And that having these types of callouts really helps players to be able to move around easily. It really makes it much more easy to learn as well.
So you have that visual identity, those landmarks that make callouts. make sure that navigation is key.
Absolutely.
And it's also a really beautiful map as well.
It is.
I think the art team has done an amazing job.
They've done a phenomenal job. And which is even more impressive is how, since Rainbow Six is a competitive game, it's gameplay first, right? So that adds a lot of constraints to the level designers, but also to the artists. And to see them come out with these beautiful maps time after time again, it's just a testament to the quality of the artists that we have on the team.
Yeah, now let's focus on your side of that equation, the actual level design. Like, where do you guys actually start when making a map like this?
All right, so where we start is the directors come up with a list of gameplay elements that you want to see in the map. In this instance, it was very important to have those 3 buildings extremely clear. So right from the start, we even started designing them one building at a time and then put them together. Once we got that list of elements that we want, we go into research phase. So we get hundreds and hundreds of references from actual roadhouses from Australia, truck stops, and once we got enough of those and we're happy about it, that's when we go into the 2D phase. So we start doing some shape researches for the general idea of the building. How do we want it? We add in the staircases, very important. That's probably one of the hardest things to implement into the map. Then we got our hallways, our rooms, and we decide where our objectives are. Once we feel that we got a nice flow, that's when we go into the 3D process. And that's where there's also the balancing that comes in. And from then on, what we do is we play session, we do feedback sessions afterwards, and we iterate upon that. And
what was some of the early feedback in the internal tests?
That was pretty fun because almost after the first prototype that we had, I think it was Emilien actually, that after the feedback session, he comes up and he says, yeah, you know what? I played it only once, but I'm already able to draw it in my mind. And that really told us that we had something good here, that the navigation was easy to learn. And all we had to do now was to keep working on it and adding.
Right, so navigation was a really important aspect of this map, but
Absolutely.
also vertical navigation as well, since there are 4 staircases on this 2-floor map. So a lot of rotation holes, a lot of different elements to this map that we're about to go into right now. But that's, give a big round of applause to Outback. What do you guys think? I think they like it, Nicholas.
I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, cool. So, all right, now let's break this down piece by piece. And let's start off with where the attackers are going to be spawning on this map. So let's take a quick look at the spawn points on Outback. What spawn points do we have?
All right, so we've got the fuel tanks, or the fuel pumps, sorry. We've got the camping, and we've got the storage yard. So fuel pump, basically, you get your fuel, get the camping, that's where you're going to stay for the night, and the storage yard would be where everything that's needed for a row house to live, basically.
I imagine there's going to be some interesting exterior fights on this map.
Yes, well, as we can see on the image, the building has a general L shape. So because of that, you're going to see some very nice inside-outside fighting going on between the camping and the fuel pump. Maybe the attackers are able to get rid of 1 or 2 of the defenders from outside. Maybe the defenders could do a few runouts for certain peaks. But we did spend a lot of time to try to get as much of the spawner peaks out as possible.
So you're not going to have to worry about spawn peaks on this map?
No. We spent a lot of time getting rid of those.
Right, but there's going to be a lot of elements outside, a lot of crossfire that's
yes, absolutely.
could potentially happen. All right, let's break down the bomb sites. There are 4 bomb sites to cover on the 2 floors. Let's start off with the 2nd floor. We have laundry room, games room, and party room and office. Let's start off with the first bomb site, which is laundry room, games room.
All right, so what's interesting about this one is that one of the bombs, the one in the games room, is actually set in pretty much the middle of the 2nd floor of the map, which really creates a big choke point. So defenders can really use that. They close up the wall that pretty much separates with the rest of the building. And the thing is, they might feel safe doing that, but that would be a big mistake. Because if the attackers take control of the outside of that bomb site, they could really start just breaking down the wall and rushing in if they want. Attackers, though, also have possibilities come in from the back of the hotel, so defenders are going to have to check on that as well. Yeah,
so we're seeing a lot of different interesting approaches to these bomb sites, but also a lot of interesting angles for the defenders that they'll need to hold in order to hold off the attackers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. All right, so that is a look at our first bomb site. Let's move on to our second bomb site. We have party room and office. Tell us about this.
What's fun about this one is that it is kind of smushed between two very large rooms. So on one side, you got the garage, a 2-story with catwalks, and it was designed a little more defender-friendly. The reason behind that, it was because once you take control as an attacker of the garage, it gives you access to this objective, but also another one that's underneath that we're going to check afterwards. And on the other side, we've got the restaurant, who is also another very big room with many fighting possibilities going on there, very nice angles.
Now, I heard you mention defender-friendly. How do you balance these bomb sites in order to make it as fair as possible for both sides?
Balancing is a really fun process to go through, and that's where a lot of magic comes out. Because at the beginning, when we're in, when we're doing it, what we do is all the objectives, all the walls around it, we surround them by breakable walls, and that's when during play sessions we figure out if we got some line of sights going on that just don't make any sense. Are there too many entries, too many windows? Do we need to move, tweak, twist, turn stuff to get something that is more balanced?
Yeah. Now, another thing I wanted to point out here on the second floor, there's a lot of wood floor paneling on there. Tell us about the line of sight floors.
Well, you say there's a lot. Yes, there's about 90% of the floors that are line of sight floors. During the balancing at the beginning, once again, we put all of the floors as breakable. And when we started to remove some, but then we realized, yeah, well, no, it works. Let's keep them there and let the players have fun with it.
So that's going to be really key for attackers and defenders
Absolutely.
On those bomb sites, guarding each side, and also roamers. That's going to be really important. As we've seen all weekend, that vertical gameplay is so important for both sides in order to get their advantage.
Yeah, and I feel that players are going to have a lot of fun in this one with that.
All right, let's move on to the first floor. And on the first floor, we have nature room and a bush ranger room and gear store and compressor room. Tell us, let's start off with nature room and bush ranger.
All right, this one has more a CQB element to it. So you have less room surrounding the bomb sites, which makes that the attackers are going to really have to commit into the building for that. You got the entrance for the back of the hotel, also from the restaurant. For defenders, they might think that turtling would be a good idea, but it won't, because like we were talking about, line of sight flooring, the defenders will really need to send some guys up there, because if the attackers take control of the second floor, there's really going to have a lot of death from above going on.
A lot of death from above, and there's also a lot of rotations. There's 4 staircases on this map. Tell us about the rotation flow on this map.
Right, well, the fact that there are 4 staircases is really great for that. I mean, you could find them, they're easily found, and there's just so many of them that you're never stuck anywhere, which is great. We used to have 3, and it was all right. But then when we added the 4th one, it was like, oh man, you could just move so easily everywhere. You could go up, down, as much as you want. It's great. So
that's where that element of iteration comes into play. As you're designing this thing, making sure you're finding the best combination of features and navigation tools in order to make it a fun map.
Exactly.
Cool. Another thing I noticed on this map is that hard wall in between the 2 bomb sites, that unbreakable wall in between the 2 bomb sites. That's usually not seen on maps.
You're right. Usually it is always breakable. In this instance, though, we realized during the play session how you were able to snipe someone and get a headshot 50 meters away while both of the players were inside the building. So I don't know about you, but I would find that extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I don't like getting headshot 50 meters inside.
50 meters away, yeah. So in this case, we decide, all right, let's put this wall non-breakable, but there's a closet right next to it, and we did manage to make that one a breakable wall, so defenders can open it up and still have a good rotation going.
So you still can have those rotation holes, but it's just that.
It's just more controlled. Yeah, there you go.
A little bit more controlled.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up the bomb sites with gear store and compressor room.
All right, what I like a lot about this one is how both of the bombs actually have a possibility of expanding their defenses. So let's start with the compressor room. It has a soft wall that takes you to the kitchen. Now, if the defenders decide to take that, it gives them a super nice view of all of the restaurant and even permits them to maybe block access coming from the hotel on the first floor. And now if we go to the gear store, they can open up the gas store. And from then now, they can take a very strong control over there. There's even a beer fridge in which they could put a mirror if they choose so and see the whole garage.
A lot of fine Australian beer in that fridge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But once again, a lot of line-of-sight flooring going on, so you're going to want to send some guys up there to keep an eye.
And that can't be understated.
Absolutely.
That verticality on this map is going to be so important when you're going to have a roamer upstairs or maybe two roamers upstairs for the defenders. For attackers, you're going to have to make sure that's locked down so that they can't defend the retake or defend the push. So that's going to be really key.
Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. So that is a look at Outback coming your way tomorrow on the test server. Thank you, Nicholas, for breaking that down. That was really great. Just in summary, it's an easy to navigate 2-4 map with four rotations, 4 staircases, 4 bomb sites, and 3 spawn points. All right. Now, let's take a look at our 2 new operators, Mozzie and Gridlock. And Emilian, we have an attacker with a defender's gadget, a defender with an attacker's gadget. And even we get confused sometimes as to which one is which. Just to be clear, which ones are which?
Gridlock is our attacker, and Mozzie is the defender.
All right, that's cleared up. Let's get into Gridlock. Who is Gridlock?
So Gridlock is the newest addition to Team Rainbow. She graduates in robotics, but before that, she was born and raised on a farm. And later on, she inherited that farm, and now she has to balance her life between Rainbow, between that farm and the family around her, which is extremely tricky, but she's calm, structured, organized, and she's able to do all of this.
Yeah, she's such an interesting character. If you guys saw the CG trailers out there, you get a sense of her personality out there. Now, let's take a look at her gadget. Obviously, we saw what it does and its usefulness. It's a very basic gadget, going back to the roots. What was the vision behind it?
Well, exactly as you said, there is a certain willingness for Gridlock to go back to some elements of Siege that were there from the very beginning. And those elements that we were looking at are obstacles, are elements that you will place in the map to protect yourself, to exercise map control. Those elements, we all know them. They're barbed wires, they're reinforcement, barricades, castle. All those things are very OG Siege, right? But they belong to the defending team. And 3 years down the road, we'll realize that this vision of attack, pushing, defending, preventing them to push has evolved a lot. And that now, with the way map control is done in Rainbow Six Siege, we kind of want to explore the idea of grabbing those tools that the defense team has and see how they would fare in attack.
Yeah, it's not so much of a binary situation here as we've seen over the course of 3 days. It's a much more intricate, delicate dance between the attackers and defenders. It's not just one way in and deny. It is, so much more and circulation around that.
Absolutely. There is the vision we have here is she's a 3 armor. So this is the first time that we bring an attacker 3 armor after the launch of the game.
Yeah.
And we want to see this gameplay like as a backliner almost. So to have the defense mindset. You will use your teammate to secure the map, but Gridlock will be there to retain control over those areas that you secure. That's her job.
Now, where do you think she shines the best? Is it locking down the site or cutting off those rotation holes?
It's difficult to make that kind of call early, and we need to see how the community, the pros, everyone actually handle the device. But what we see is, I guess, flank watch, very important. You can secure part of the objective as well. You can secure entire rooms if you want. If you need verticality, you can do this as well. There's a lot of options on how you can do that. It's kind of a try that we have here with her, and want to see all those options shine and see which one is maybe the best at the end of the day. My belief usually with that kind of gadget is depending on your team, depending on the bomb site, depending on the map, the operator you choose, you will use her differently.
So a lot of different strategies that you'll be able to cook up. I can't wait to see the pros and the players get their hands on Gridlock. It's going to be really exciting. And also, she may play very nicely on the new map Outback as well because of all those rotations with 4 staircases.
Yeah, I feel whoever's going to be playing Gridlock is going to be having tons of fun on this map.
A lot of fun on that map. Cool. All right, so let's take a look at her loadout now. We saw that beautiful ACOG on her.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what she's equipped with.
So yeah, the key information we have here, so 3 armor, like we mentioned, we really want to see a 3 armor gameplay in TAC and see how it fares. For the weaponry, she has this brand new ACOG, which is pretty amazing, and I really want to see this in-game as well. The few things of note that we have is the sidearm she has as a shotgun. She can make this destruction. She can do this as well with the breaching charge, the new breaching charge, and this is to allow verticality. The other option you have is the smoke grenade, and the reasoning behind it is the gadget of Gridlock is not subtle. It makes noise, it's visible, it takes time to deploy, and you can get counter pretty efficiently with it by the defending team. However, smoke grenade should be a very valuable tool to conceal the deployment of your gadget.
Yeah, it means a lot of synergies with other operators with smoke grenades to allow that Trax to fully deploy and take as much space as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. All right, now let's take a look at how do you counter. Obviously, it's a pretty basic gadget. You can shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, there is a few options. Again, with this mentality of going back to some original elements of Siege, very mechanical, we also wanted some pretty simple counters to, like we usually have those interactions with electronic gadget and a lot of classic counters, but this time we want something that is like very mechanical. So bullets, melee, explosions, all of this will be able to get rid of the Stinger, Trax Stinger, at a certain cost though. It will make noise, or it will take time, or it will cost you resources.
Yeah, as we just saw in that video, they used the C4 to clear out the tracks. That's a lot of resources wasted in order to just get an open walkway.
That is, but the trick is, if you use bullets, it will take a lot of time, you're very vulnerable. If you use impact, by the end of the round, usually your impacts are already used for rotation. And the last thing that you might have is a C4 that is usually used at the end of the round, but what an expensive cost.
Yeah, a lot of expensive costs, and also all of these things make noise, so that provides intel to the attacking team as well, locations of where the defenders may be pushing from. So a lot of cost just to get rid of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, now let's take a look at Mozzie. Mozzie is our defending operator. Who is Mozzie?
So Mozzie is the perfect counterweight to Gridlock. Is a daredevil. He cannot stay in one place for too long. He met her during the study in robotics, fighting robots against robots, and from that rivalry, they created this amazing friendship that they have now.
The yin and yang of Rainbow Six Siege. So tell us a little bit about the vision behind his gadget, the Pest launcher.
So here again, we go back in time and we take one of the first elements of Siege, drones, and how to make this change from this simple element of attack to bring it in defense. Well, we want someone that can actually steal them, and we wanted to explore this option, like this new way to hack intelligence gadget, and Mozzie is exactly that, is those drones, very basic element of Siege, and all of a sudden you have someone in defense that changed completely the relationship you have with them.
Changing the relationship is really kind of the key aspect of this. When you are on attack, you don't shoot drones.
Yeah.
And when you're on defense, you shoot a drone. If you
absolutely.
See it. And now we're playing with the psychological element of that relationship for the players.
Definitely, Mozzie is going to challenge some of the core way we have to play Siege. If you see a drone, if like you're standing there in defense and you see a drone, your brain is not even thinking. You shoot it every single time. And in attack, if you see a drone, it's your friend. No questions asked. Now this is changing. Now in defense, if you see a drone and Mozzie is on board, maybe it's worth it not to shoot it, to try to capture it. And in attack, if you see a drone, maybe it's not so friendly anymore.
Yeah, so really playing with the relationship of, the most basic thing in Siege, one of the most basic things in Siege that has not changed since the launch of the game. I mean, this is really interesting interaction that we're introducing here. But where do you think he shines the best? What do you think situations and strategies players are going to come up with?
Well, there is, I see at least two ways to use Mozzie efficiently. First one, obviously, is to get an enemy drone and use it against them. Ideally, a Twitch drone eventually, that could be awesome. The other way is since the drone generates like an area of effect with a warning zone around it, so nothing as big as mute, much smaller, right? But you can still use it as something to limit drone access, because if an attacker is droning nearby, they will know it's there and they will not get in. You cannot block large hallway like mute would, but you can block much smaller things, like drone holes, for example.
Yeah, drone holes, it's going to be really, really valuable in shutting down drone holes. And, you know, even just maybe one hallway that you know that they like to push down with their drone. So stealing those resources from the opponents is really key. Stealing that intelligence and that counterintel is going to be really key.
That's exactly it. Like, it's counterintelligence in multiple levels. It's both preventing them from accessing information and eventually using their tool against them to acquire your own information.
It's dirty. It's dirty. I like it, though. All right, let's take a look at the loadout for Mozzie.
So the loadout of Mozzie is pretty interesting as well. I'm going to spend a bit of time on the secondary gadget mostly, because we have barbed wire, which always efficient, no questions asked, but also slows down drones, so which might make it easier for you to capture those drones, especially if you do not have a mute on the team. The other secondary gadget is a C4, and this is obviously probably the most potent tools in the Defender's arsenal, but at the same time, it's kind of in line with Pulse and Valkyrie, and I understand that the idea of having someone blasting you from below can be frustrating. However, against coordinated team, I do enjoy the fact that you know there is someone that's threatening you from below. You know that this exists. It creates this secondary objective that you have to challenge. You have to chase the pulse from below. You have to destroy the Valkyrie camera. And now you have to be extremely careful with your drones. You have to communicate every single step of the way.
And that's been so important over the past 3 days, where we've seen that verticality become so important, and that plant denial from below with those C4s have been utilized in almost every map, and it's an incredible, useful tool. I love the synergy there as well. So how do we counter Mozzie?
So I guess the first step to counter Mozzie is communication. You absolutely need to tell your teammate if you lose a drone. You absolutely need to make sure that everyone knows that a drone is around. That's super key. And exactly like when Kavara is interrogating you, if you see your drone being captured, tell them. First counter, then after that, if you don't pay attention enough, well, it's an electronic gadget, so we have the usual suspects. Thatcher is going to disable the pest and destroy it. IQ is going to be able to spot them, and she also is able to find the drone that are turncoats and eliminate them. Very efficient.
So very useful on those sides. But I think the most interesting interaction is with Dokkaebi.
Absolutely. This was meant to be. This is our first hacker war between Dokkaebi and Mozzie. So the way we handle that in this version is we have Mozzie that is going to hack a drone, but if Dokkaebi is hacking a cell phone, she's going to gain access to the camera feed of the drone.
So in the same way that she gains access to the Defender's Valkyrie cams, she'll gain access to the drone.
But she's not stealing the drone back. She's just gaining access to the video feed, which means that she can see what Mozzie is seeing, but Mozzie still controls the drone.
Right, and in that there's its own metagame, because you have the attacker who's hacking the drones, where the defender is also hacking the drones, and so there's this like information battle where you're trying to get just the sliver of information. Maybe they know
exactly
that a drone has been taken, and that gives you an advantage over everybody else. So it's really interesting interaction that I cannot wait to see that in action with our players.
Yeah, as well, Justin. Both of them are going to bring some very interesting new things. We're going to try to see how shifting tools from attack to defense impact the gameplay overall, and I'm very curious about this season.
It's going to be an exciting season, and Mozzie, Gridlock, and Outback are coming your way to the test server starting tomorrow on February 18th. But we have a special surprise for you, and I don't think this has leaked yet. Are you ready for the elite Hibana? Of course, you'll be able to have the Elite Ibana skin with the launch of Operation Burnt Horizon, and you'll be able to play Operation Burnt Horizon, everything that we talked about in this panel, and all the Year 4 Season 1 content that we talked about in the Year 4 Roadmap panel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for sticking with us for another year. This is an amazing, amazing community, and thank you guys so much for everything. Do not go anywhere. Don't touch that browser, because we have G2 Esports versus Team Empire coming up after this short musical performance.